system. Today we're going to talk about the specific immunity of the human immune system. We already explained the non-specific immunity, but today we'll start the new part of the specific immunity. What the meaning of a specific immunity? We already said in our last video. This type of immune response is so specific as your immune system deals with each type of pathogen in a different way. For example, it deals with the bacterial cell in a different way from the viral cell and so on. And it is specific that it deals with each type of virus in a different way as well. So it deals with the COVID-19 virus in a different way from the cold virus or the influenza virus, for example. White blood cells are responsible for the specific immunity. As we see, we have different types of white blood cells, and they are different in size, in shape, and everything. They circulate in your body with your blood and with your lymph. So in the circulatory system, you can find the white blood cells, and in your lymphatic system, you can find the white blood cells as well. And you know the function of them, trapping any foreign body that invades your body. Let's focus on some white blood cells. So I want you to meet the phagocytes. So the macrophages, the neutrophils, and monocytes, they are example of phagocytes. So they use the phagocytosis, as we said in the previous video, in engulfing and digesting the foreign body. And here we have the lymphocytes, that it's the major cells in the specific immunity. So we have B cells and T cells. Actually, the phagocytes, as we said before as well, that it's already part of the non-specific. But you know, there is contribution between phagocytes or the non-specific and the lymphocytes, which is the specific, to finally attack and finish the invader. Let me introduce the white blood cells that it will be involved in our process today in fighting a foreign body. Number one, the macrophage. The macrophage actually is a phagocyte. We'll be talking about each one of them in detail, but now I want just remind you that the phagocyte or the macrophage, it's a part of the non-specific immunity, but it helps a lot here in the specific immunity today. Number two, the lymphocytes, which is basically the major cells in the specific immunity. Number one, the helper T cell. Number two, the B cells, and B just related to antibodies, B cell antibodies. Okay, so this one, the B cells, it produces the antibodies. Number three, cytotoxic T cells. Cytotoxic T cells, it has actually two functions. One of them, which is the major function, that it directly uh, kills the infected cells. And now we'll be talking about each one of these four in details. Now we have the macrophage, and I want just to explain to you how it helps today in our process of fighting the the pathogen. The macrophage will engulf, as usual, the the pathogen, and it digests it. It will take a part of this pathogen, and it is called the processed antigen, and it will put it, displace it on its membrane, as we see here. So this orange part, it's the antigen, which is, or the processed antigen, which actually a part of the bacterial cell that it's already digested inside the macrophage. So this is our macrophage. The star today is our macrophage, and this is the pathogen. The pathogen will be engulfed by the macrophage, will be digested here inside the macrophage, and it will take a part of this bacterial cell or a pathogen and displays it on its membrane here. Now, a different color for this helper T cell. The helper T cell will come and attach, or it will bind with the macrophage through um, that processed antigen. Then it will be activated, and now we'll know what the helper T cell will do. The helper T cell, this one is the helper T cell, and it has the processed antigen. It will go and bind with number one, the B cell, number two, the toxic T cells. Once the helper T cell is activated, as we said, it will go and bind with the B cells and the cytotoxic T cells. The point is, once the B cells, we're going to start with the B cells first. So once it starts um, the activation of the B cells by binding its processed antigen to the B cells will start to replicate, and it will start to give more and more antibodies. The question now is, what is antibody? What is the structure of the antibody? What is the function of antibody? Actually, we start with that antibody. It is made of proteins, and these proteins are, it is coded from the DNA as heavy chains of proteins and light chains of protein, as you see here. So heavy chains of proteins and those light chains of proteins, and they combine together to produce the antibody. Then this antibody is specific to one, so each one antibody, one type of antibody, it's specific to one type of antigen. So this this bacterial cell, it has this type of antigen, and it fits actually this site of the antibody, so it can be attacked. So this virus or this bacterial cell, it can be attacked by this virus, by this antibody. But for this one, the rectangular one and the circular one, they cannot be attacked by this antibody because actually it doesn't fit. So here, the those antibodies, I can't, they're so fast. Okay, these antibodies, they bind with the antigens of this foreign body, and they attack it. How can they attack it? What the way that these antibodies deal with the bacterial cells or the foreign body or the pathogen? It stimulates the phagocytosis, another color, the phagocytosis and the inflammatory response. Actually, they stimulate the non-specific response, so they can help them in fighting that foreign body. Then back again to the macrophage, and that macrophage that help the helper T cell to activate the B cells and the cytotoxic T cells. So now the the cytotoxic T cells, it's activated by the helper T cells, which actually activated already by the macrophage. The cytotoxic T cells is now activated by the helper T cells, which, as we said, it's already activated by the macrophage. So the activated cytotoxic T cells, they produce, number one, they attack by producing the cytokines. Cytokines, it's a protein, type of protein that stimulates the other um, immune cells to divide and to just head to the area of infection to help others. The other function of the cytotoxic T cells, it's destroying and killing the infected cells. So your body, the cells of your body, it got infected. Okay, some viruses entered your body cell and they started to multiply inside. So how to stop multiplication? It's like a suicide. This body cell, your body cell, will take a part of the virus, and again it will just be a, a processed antigen on its wall. It will call the cytotoxic T cell or the killer T cell. It has another name actually. Killer T cells, and it's so obvious why did they name the cytotoxic T cells the killer T cells? Because they finish the the infected cells. So the cytotoxic T cell will come, bind with the antigen, the processed antigen, and kill and destroy this infected cell. So to sum it up, we have here the macrophage, the start that we introduced before, and we have here the virus. The virus already engulfed by the macrophage, and the macrophage took a part of the virus and just displayed on its wall. Then the macrophage now is binding to the helper T cell through that processed antigen. Oh yeah, okay, so we didn't say that this one now is called the processed antigen. So this processed antigen is bound already to that helper T cell, and the helper T cell is activated. The helper T cell will go to the B cells to activate them, and it will go to the cytotoxic or the killer T cells to activate them. Cytotoxic. Then here we have two ways. The first one, that the helper T cell after activation, it divided a lot and it went to the B cells to start activating it. Then the helper T cells again went to the cytotoxic T cells to activate them, and they will start dividing and doing their function. So starting with the number one, the B cells. So the activated helper T cells went to activate the B cells. The B cells now are activated, and again the processed antigen is bound of the helper T cells is bound to the B cells to be activated. It's already activated now. What will happen? It will like give more and more copies of itself, and it will divide a lot. Then it will give a lot of antibodies. The antibodies some of them will go to start their function and attack the antigens of the foreign bodies. The others will stay in your body and they are called now memory B cells. So in case you have the same infection again, the memory B cells will start attacking it in no time. It doesn't go through the long process of the specific immune response. Number two, the helper T cells went to the went to activate the cytotoxic T cells, and the cytotoxic T cells again through the processed antigen, and the helper T cells, the 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 activated cytotoxic T cells will do two things. Number one, they will secrete the cytokines. Okay, the cytokines will stimulate the the non-specific immune response. What else? The main function, which is going to the infected cells that already invaded. They are invaded with the the foreign body, and they use the part of this foreign body to form the processed antigen again. The processed antigen will be bound with the cytotoxic T cell to give the chance to the cytotoxic T cell to kill, destroy the antigen, okay, the infected cell, the infected body cell. So here we have the two types of immune response, specific immune response, which is by the B cell and the antibodies, and the other one with the cytotoxic T cells and killing the infected cells and cytokines. So the B cell response, we have another name for it. It's a humoral response or humoral immunity or antibody mediated immunity, because it depends on the antibodies. And on the other side here we have the T cells, T cell response, or its name is cell mediated response. Why its name is cell mediated immunity? Because it depends on the whole cell. So the whole cell, the infected cell, will be destroyed by the cytotoxic T cells, or cellular immunity, which has the same meaning of cell mediated. Okay, so this one is by the antibodies. This one, of course, it is no, the antibodies are not involved in the process. This one, it's like the contribution of B cells, helper T cell, macrophage. This one is helper T cell, macrophage as well, but the cytotoxic T cells. So now it is the whole process of the specific immunity. If you have any questions, you can just send me the questions, and I'll explain it to you. I'll just respond anytime. Okay, thank you so much. Before we end our lesson, can you stop the video and think about that question? If you are infected with the same pathogen twice, predict which time will be shorter in time and easier to recover, and tell me why. If your answer is the second time will be easier and shorter in time, this is right, because this is the first infection. Let me, yeah, this is the first time the infection, the amount or the concentration of the antibodies in the first time you're infected with that virus. So it's so low because the whole process that we went through, the specific immunity, that process happened. But here the second time already we have the memory cells. So this is the key word of the answer. the memory cell, because you already have your memory cells from the first defense. So the second time you will be having already the memory cell that knows the antigen, so it will increase in number and attack, way easier and shorter in time. Thank you so much, and see you the next video.